Hello, and welcome everyone. This is the Business Building Book Club. I am your host, Coach Molly from Three Pines Leadership, and welcome to another episode. Today, I apologize for being a little bit late. Today, everything's just up in a little bit of transition here, but that's okay. We're also doing a Friday show on a Sunday. Why not? So today we're talking about .com Secrets, one of my favorite books when it comes to building businesses online. And it's such a great book that you can get your very own copy by clicking the link in the description box. You can go to leadershipmade.com/DCS for .com Secrets. You'll get your very, very, very free copy. All you have to do is pay for shipping, but it's absolutely worth it, 100%. Yeah. So here at the Business Building Book Club, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of all of this stuff. So why don't we get things started today with our lovely intro.
What is it that you need to do in order to stand out in your field?
Of any business or background.
If you're looking to start an online business,
you needed one thing.
this is where you start, guys.
.com Secrets.
.com Secrets.
It's .com Secrets.
.com Secrets is the book.
USA Today bestseller.
By Russell Brunson.
Russell Brunson.
By Russell Brunson.
Creator of ClickFunnels.
This guy knows his stuff. This book is flat out amazing.
If you're new to online marketing or you need a refresher,
You're going to want to pick this book up.
It will change the way that you think about your business.
You need to own this book.
It will teach you how to create your offers.
Building your own email list.
I'm interested.
This book literally tells you how to go to a competitor, steal their traffic, and use it for your own.
Wow.
How to put together a funnel.
what your niche?
Now that makes sense to me.
There's just so much information.
It's actually a free book.
This is a really, really powerful book.
This book.
.com Secrets by Russell Brunson.
This is a must-have. You need to own it.
So you can amplify and transform your life and your business today.
You can get your very own copy at leadershipmade.com/DCS. And if you buy through my link, if you sign up through my link, I'll throw you all of my extra bonuses. You can hang out in my private book club, all of that fun stuff. And I will make sure that you can get on the right path to starting your business online, making an impact. We're going to be going through all of the books in the new Secrets trilogy. So we're going to go through .com Secrets chapter by chapter, then we'll dive into Expert Secrets, and then we'll dive into Traffic Secrets. So we'll give you the whole package of how to start your business online, how to grow your business online, how to drive more traffic, and all of the secrets to making money online without pants on. That's my secret. So today we're going to dive into secret number 1 from .com Secrets. It is the same in both the new edition and the old edition, so you can follow along with me. We're starting on page 16, which is secret number 1. So let me get set up here with all of my infographics for you, so you can follow along with all of the lovely diagrams that Russell's put together for us. Really, there's only 2 in this chapter, so it should be easy. We're going to start here with this one here. So I'm going to start reading for you guys. This is the secret formula, and I'll leave the image up here so you can let it sink in a little bit as I start to read. It was 11:27 a.m. on a Monday morning. And no matter what I told myself, I just couldn't get out of bed. The muscles in my body ached, although it didn't make sense. I knew I wasn't sore from exercise because I hadn't worked out. I had a sick feeling in my stomach that felt like the flu, but I knew I wasn't sick. In my head, I was wishing I had a boss so that he or she could fire me and end this nightmare that I knew I had to face as soon as I finally stumbled out of bed. How had I gotten here? Just a few weeks earlier, I had officially become an entrepreneur and launched my own company. And despite a lot of mistakes along the way, I was having some moderate success. The company I started was profitable. We were serving people and making a difference, but for some reason, I was miserable. I thought back and tried to figure out where I had made the wrong turn. The more I thought about it, the more I started to realize that I didn't love the customers I was serving. But why? Was something wrong with me? Or was something different? A few weeks later, I was having a conversation with one of my entrepreneur friends, and I told him how I was feeling. He smiled. And he said, if you don't like your customers, that's your fault. It's not theirs. You attract your customers based on the content and offers you put in your marketplace. And then he said the line that I'll never forget. If you change your bait, you'll change your customer. Immediately, I had one of those mind-blowing moments where I realized that when I got started, I never knew who I wanted to serve. Instead, I got excited about a product idea, threw it into the market, and waited for whoever was attracted to it to come. Unfortunately, the people who came with the offers I put into the marketplace were not the people I enjoyed being with. Then I asked myself a powerful question that changed everything for me. Who is the person I really want to serve? Up to that point in my business, I had never asked myself that question. I had been trying to sell to anyone and everyone. I had focused all of my efforts on creating a good product without any thought about who I actually wanted to serve. While focusing on the product sounded smart at first, it left me tired, frustrated, and empty inside. If I were to pick my dream customers, who were they? What did they look like? And what were the offers that I could create that would attract them? This is also the first question I need you to ask yourself when starting your company or making a shift that truly grows your company. This is the basis of the secret formula. Question number 1. Who is your dream customer? The first question you have to ask yourself is, who do I actually want to work with? Most of us start with a product idea, never thinking who we want as clients or customers, yet these are the people you'll be interacting with on a day-to-day basis. You'll oftentimes spend more time with these people than your own friends and family. You choose your significant other really carefully, so wouldn't you take the same time and care in deciding who your dream client or your dream customer will be? If you're just getting started, this may not seem important, but I promise you that if you don't consciously choose your dream client, one day you'll wake up like I did, working with people who exhaust you and wishing that someone could fire you from the business that you created. After I had successfully launched my first software company, a lot of people took notice to my success online and began asking me how I started my company. Because I saw the demand, I thought it would be fun to teach others how to start their own businesses online. The good thing was that there were a lot of people who wanted to start businesses, and we made a lot of money teaching them. But the downside was that most of them didn't have any money and couldn't invest in higher ticket things that I wanted to sell them. Many had no business experience, so I had to spend tons of time on the fundamentals that drove me crazy, which is one of the many reasons why I don't want to get out of bed in the mornings. I had so much value, and I wanted to provide to people, showing how I scaled my companies, teaching conversion secrets and how we structure our funnels. But 99% of my time was spent showing them how to buy a domain and how to set up hosting. I literally spent years serving these customers, and it made me miserable. My family suffered, and no matter how much money we made, I wasn't happy. It took years before I sat back and actually thought about the who. I realized I had overlooked some pretty important questions, such as, who are my dream clients? What do they look like? What are they passionate about? What are their goals, their dreams, and their desires? And what are the offers that I could create that would attract them and repel anyone else? After about a week of thinking about the who question, I sat down and created 2 customer avatars, one for the men I wanted to work with and one for the women I wanted to work with. For the women, I picked a name and wrote it down, Julie. Then I listed out the things that I knew about Julie that I wanted to serve. She is successful and driven. She has a message to share. She values her personal growth over money. and she's already started a business and have had some success, but wants to learn how to grow it. Next, I wrote down the name Mike. Next to Mike's name, I wrote down the things that I knew about him. He's a former athlete. At some point, he has helped to change someone's life in a small way and wants to learn how to help more people. He values growth over money, and he's already built his business, but wants more impact and feels a need to learn how to grow it. Then I went to Google Images and typed in Julie and the characteristics I had written out. Within minutes, I found a picture that looked like the woman in my mind. I did the same for Mike, and within minutes, I had both pictures of my dream customers printed and hanging on my wall. At the time, this seemed a little silly of an exercise. But just last month, I hosted a private event where in my office in Boise, Idaho, with 100 of my top entrepreneurs that I serve. Each of them paid me $50,000 to be in that meeting. Each of them had a business that made a minimum of $1 million a year, and each of them were my dream clients. I stood up and told them that I had written something about one of them, and I wanted to see if they could guess who I was talking about. Where'd I go? I read aloud the characteristics for both Mike and Julie. When I asked them to raise their hands if they thought that I was talking about them, almost every hand in the group went up. I told them that 6 years earlier I had written out my dream customer avatar and had focused on creating offers, producing content that would attract that person. 6 years later, I was sitting in a room with 100 of the exact people that I had set out to attract just a few short years earlier. As I said, this may seem like a silly exercise, but it's important that you do it anyways. It will change your business. And for most of you reading or listening, it will likely change your life. Really spend time thinking about who you want to work with. Write out their characteristics and then go find an actual picture to represent them. It's amazing how your perspective changes when you have a physical picture of your ideal customer instead of a hazy, half-formed image in your head. John Lee Dumas from Entrepreneur on Fire podcast recently shared at one of our events how he's crafted his dream listener when he launched his first podcast. And this is what he writes. When I was trying to figure out what I wanted Entrepreneur on Fire to be, I was overwhelmed because it was hard for me to find the path that I wanted to take my listeners on. When I really sat down and said, okay, my listener or my avatar is Jimmy. He's 37 years old. He has a wife and 2 kids, ages 3 and 5. He drives by himself to work every single day. It's a 25-minute commute to work. He gets to a cubicle at a job he hates for 9 hours. He commutes home. He gets stuck in a little bit of traffic. He gets home and hangs out with his kids, has dinner with his family, puts his kids to bed, hangs out with his wife, and then he has a little Jimmy pity party at the end of every single night because he's sitting on the couch asking himself, why do I spend 90% of my waking hours doing things that I don't enjoy doing? Commuting to a job I don't like, being at a job I don't like, commuting home, and only 10% of my waking hours doing the things that I love, like spending time with my kids and family. Jimmy is my avatar. He's the person that as he's driving to work, should be listening to Entrepreneur on Fire so that when my guest is sharing their worst entrepreneurial moments, he can understand that it's okay to fail, that you can learn lessons from failure, and that when he's driving home and my guest talks about their aha moments, he can talk about how you can take an aha moment and turn it into success. And then instead of having a pity party at night by himself on the couch, he can listen to the lightning round where my guest is sharing their best advice that they've ever had, their favorite book, their favorite resource, so he can start to put together the pieces of the puzzle. So for me, whenever I come up to the question I have about the direction of my podcast, I go to my avatar and I say, what would Jimmy do? Or WWJD. And I know from that one answer that that's the way that I gotta go. So if you sit down and really say, hey, this really is one perfect listener for my podcast. then you're going to know that person inside and out. You're going to know where that person hangs out, what Facebook groups they're in, what LinkedIn groups they're in, and how to advertise to them. And what lead or ad is going to be appealing to them on Facebook that's going to get them to download it. And again, this is your ideal, perfect client. You can probably picture right now this person that whenever he sits down in front of you, you're like, dude, you're like my favorite client. And he's like, I know I'm your favorite client. That's the person that you want to be drawing in. So if you sit down and really try to figure out who your perfect one ideal listener is, everything changes from that point forward, and all the decisions you make are based off of that. So every piece of content you make for your podcast is speaking to that avatar, that one person. Every call to action you give, every intro, every outro is specific for this purpose. And we'll talk a lot about tying all of those ends together later on in the book. So a few years ago, 2 members of my Inner Circle high-end coaching program, Dean and Robin Holland, had launched a makeup cosmetic brush in the UK. They had developed these special brushes because Robin suffers from a condition called polycystic ovarian syndrome, or PCOS. And the brushes she created helped her to apply makeup and feel more confident about herself. So they did what any good entrepreneur would do and found someone to create the brushes, spent a small fortune on inventory, built out a funnel, and started selling them to women around the world who need cosmetics brushes. After 2 years of selling these brushes, almost nothing happened. They had no momentum and almost no sales. Then one day they had a big epiphany. As Robin was looking in the mirror, she realized that her dream customer was staring back at her. Her avatar wasn't all women who wear makeup. That was way too broad. Her market was women like her who were suffering from PCOS. What if, instead of trying to sell their brushes to all women, they changed their customer avatar to look just like the person who was looking back at them in the mirror? So they changed their dream customer avatar, which caused them to change the words in their landing pages into funnel speak specifically to that person. And then they changed the ads to be bait that would hook their dream person. They built their company to focus on their dream customer first, and it changed everything. Their makeup company went from making about $34,000 the entire previous year to making over $100,000 in the first 60 days after changing and focusing on their dream customer. Honestly, they would have done more than $100,000, but they blew through an entire year's worth of inventory in those 2 short months and had to shut off their ads while they rush ordered new products to keep with the demand. The change didn't come from changing their products. It came from changing who their dream customers were and then speaking directly to and attracting them. This is the first question you need to ask inside of the secret formula. Who is your dream customer? No matter what kind of product you're selling, if you're trying to promote a podcast, or if you're trying to promote your online Zoom classes, your yoga classes, if you're selling books or physical products, if you're a brick and mortar store, or you're providing a service one-on-one with your clients, it doesn't matter. You need to drill down and figure out who your dream customer is. We'll talk later about niches and what kinds of services and products that you can provide. But right now, the most important thing for you to figure out is, who are you trying to serve? Who are you trying to attract? If you're just trying to talk for the sake of talking, then, there's lots of platforms to do that, but you're not going to build a business on that. You need to think about who specifically you want to attract to you. So let's get into question number 2. Where are your dream customers congregating? The next question in the secret formula is, where can you find your dream customer? Where are they already congregating online? The real power of the internet is the power of congregations. Groups of people gathering in little corners of the internet make it possible for people like you and me to get into business quickly and be successful without all the barriers and expensive hurdles of traditional media. When I say the word congregation, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For most people, the word congregation brings to mind a church. A church is really nothing more than a group of people who gather based on similar interests. For example, each week all the Baptists congregate, and so do all the Mormons, Seventh-day Adventists, Muslims, and Jews, right? Everyone congregates together. So if I were selling a product specific for Mormons, where would I go to sell it? Of course, I would go to the Mormon church. My dream customers will all be there together, and all I have to do is put my message out in front of them, and if I made a good offer, some of them will buy. I want to stop here before this analogy gets any deeper because my point is not to teach you how to sell things to churches. I just want to understand the power of congregations because it's one of the main reasons the internet is such an amazing tool for businesses. Prior to the internet, it was hard for people around the world to congregate. We were limited by location and ability to communicate. But now it's possible for anyone and everyone to congregate and discuss almost anything with groups of people who have similar interests. When I was in high school, there were 5 or 6 kids who would get together every day at lunch and play card games. One of the games was called Magic: The Gathering. They would congregate every day at lunch and play the same game they loved. I'm sure there were a handful of kids in high schools all over the country doing the same thing, unaware of one another. Before the internet, this is how things worked. You were kind of limited based on geography. You might not be close to other people in your congregation. As a marketer, I would have found it difficult to reach 5 kids at one high school and 3 at another school and 6 or 7 at yet another school. It would have cost way too much money to be successful, yet now, thanks to the internet, those 5 or 6 kids in my high school can congregate with all the others around the world to play Magic: The Gathering online. They can hang out in forums and play games with people halfway across the world. Now, if I have a product to sell to a congregation of people who love Magic: The Gathering, it's easy and economical to go online and find where they are and get my message out in front of them. Here's another example. I was a wrestler in college, and every night at all the student athletes had to spend 2 hours in study hall to make sure that we got our homework done. Naturally, I would sit next to my wrestling buddies, and we'd goof off online. I remember looking over one day and noticing that all of my friends were looking at the exact same webpage as I was. It's called The Mat. TheMat.com, a website for wrestlers. We were all chatting about what had happened in the month previous in the wrestling world and commenting on the big matches we were excited to see. Every single person in my college wrestling team was in that study lab for 2 hours every night, hanging out on themat.com and talking about wrestling, rather than doing our homework. Interestingly, this was likely happening in every single university across the country. Add in the high school wrestlers, as well as their parents and all the old wrestling fans and fanatics, and you can see that almost everyone in the world who cared about wrestling were all in the same spot online, congregating and talking about the sport we love. Now, if I had a wrestling product, what would I do to sell it? I would find the existing congregation of wrestling fans, and I would put my bait out in front of them. Simple. There are congregations online for everything. Anything you can dream up. Where are the online congregations that you participate in? My guess is that there's at least a dozen or more things that you're interested in, and you have a special place on the internet to go to be with your people and talk about what's important to you. I want you to now start thinking about congregations as they relate back to your dream customer. What are the congregations that they are already participating in? Ask yourself these questions. What are the top websites that my dream customer already goes to? What forums or message boards do they participate in? What are the Facebook groups that they participate in? Who are the influencers that they follow on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube? What podcasts do they listen to? What are the email newsletters that they might be subscribed to? What blogs do they read? What channels are they following on YouTube? And what keywords are they searching for in Google to find this information? And once you understand the core concept of congregations, of these groups, driving traffic becomes incredibly easy. And we'll get into that when we get into the Traffic Secrets book in a little bit. My job as a marketer is to figure out who it is that I want to serve and then figure out where they are already congregating. Big secret there. The third question that we're going to get into now is, what is the bait or the hook, story, and offer that you'll use to attract your dream customers? Once we know where our dream customers are, we have to create the right hook to grab their attention. The hooks are just ads that will grab their attention for your dream customers just long enough for you to tell them a story. The goal of the story is to build rapport with them, as well as break the false beliefs that they have that would keep them from talking to you or taking up your offer. The offer is the thing that you've created for your dream customer so you can give them the results they desire. If you do this step correctly, it will repel the customers that you don't want to serve and attract the right customers to you. As my company moved away from selling to beginners and towards attracting our dream customers, our first step was to create new offers that would attract Mike or Julie. The first new offer I created was called .com Secrets Labs, 108 proven split test winners. This offer worked great for us because most beginners don't know what a split test is. But we knew that Mike and Julie, our dream customers, would know what those terms meant and that they would be hungry to get their hands on that information. Within days of launching this new offer, we had thousands of dream customers lining up to work with us. When you find out what your dream client wants, it becomes very easy to attract them. Throughout this book club, we're going to talk more about creating the right offers. Right now, just realize the offer has to match what your dream customer wants. Because this step in the formula has made its own framework, called Hook Story Offer, I dedicated the next chapter, or secret number 2, to going deep into that framework. So we'll be doing that on Friday in our next book club session. But before we dive into any of that stuff, let's go into question number 4. What is the unique result or value that you can create for your dream customers? 1 second. Once you've hooked your dream customers with the perfect offer, the last question is what result or value do you want to give them? I'm not talking about what product or service you want to sell them. A business is not about products or services. A business is about what result you can get for your clients. Once you and they understand that concept, the price is no longer a barrier. It's not about an exchange of money for product. It's an exchange of money for value and money for results. For me, I know that the best way I can serve my dream client is to give them a funnel that works for them and gives them consistent leads or sales, or whatever it is they want. The best way for me to deliver that to them is for me to just do it all for them. That is how I can have the deepest impact and serve the client at the highest level. Ideally, it's where I would take all of my customers. That type of service is not cheap though, but the results I can deliver at that level are amazing. To put it in perspective, for that service, my company usually charges $1 million up front plus a large percentage of sales or equity in the company. I understand that many of my customers wouldn't be able to pay me for that level of service, which is why we develop other products and services. But understanding where you ultimately want to take your dream client is the key to this step. Imagine that your clients could pay you for anything to get your desired result. What then would you do to help guarantee their success? Where would you lead them? What does that place look like? Keep that place in your mind. In that pinnacle of success for your client, it's where you want to take them. The framework for this step of the secret formula is called the value ladder. It will be broken down in greater detail in our 3rd secret, and we'll show you how to ascend customers so that you can make more money and they can receive more value. And that's it. The 4 questions to the secret formula again are as follows. Who is your dream customer? Where are they congregating? What is the bait that you can use to attract them? And what is the unique result that you can create for them? Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this secret. That was secret number 1 from .com Secrets. Make sure you get your copy. You can get a free copy. Just pay for shipping down at leadershipmade.com/DCS. And you can follow along. Usually we do our book clubs Friday at 11:30 a.m., but I thought I'd jump on here and do one now. So you can join us again. Let's see, when will I be back? When can you come back and see me? let's see, Monday mornings at 7 a.m. we do the Monday morning show where we talk about headlines, stuffs in the news, and that's really where we get to go deeper and have a good deep chit chat. You can also find us on Wednesdays. We do our live trainings. So this coming Wednesday, we're doing the Productive Entrepreneur. So if you want to learn more about getting yourself in the right frame of mind and getting all of that set up to be as successful and productive as possible, join us on all of our live streaming platforms for that. You can also find us on Fridays, Book Club, 11:30 a.m. And on Saturdays at 11, we also do the live broadcast of the Lifelong Podcast. So that's it for this episode, my friends. You can join me on all of our social platforms on Mixer, Twitch, Periscope, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. So again, I'm out of here. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode, everyone. Stay good, stay awesome. Remember, I love you, be excellent to each other, and I'll see you again soon.